So, this is where you find me, back in the Megane RS Trophy Edition. I'm inside the car right now, and as you can see, it's pretty simple here. There's not much going on. Electrical windows, electrical mirrors, they are not folding though. I think the facelift as of 2013 had the option of folding mirrors, but you don't get those kind of stuff with the Trophy. As I said, I think as I mentioned already earlier, this is the cruise control buttons, increase, decrease speed, resume, and zero, basically off. We have the traction control button. That's the pretty important button. It has two modes. Once it's a sport mode, and if you press it and hold it, you go to racing mode, or like traction control off, stability control off. The only thing you get on, it's obviously the ABS. And you can also choose from the Renault Sport monitor later, as actually I will demonstrate you. You can choose the different maps of the engine, basically the different throttle maps. It's not much that it changes, it's just the way how the throttle pedal responds. So it's basically a little bit more dramatic and sudden, so to give you that racing feel. What else? Manual climate control, radio with a CD player that I don't think anyone has ever used. Start button, start stop button actually. And one of the coolest things, we do have the Renault logo, actually the serial number of the car. So this is a 683. As I mentioned last time, 1068 units were ever built from this car, so a pretty low number. We have some cheap plastic overall, I would say. I mean, nothing to compare with the German competitors, of course. The roof is also kind of cheapish, not much going on. The door cards are cheap. Well, actually everything, but the point of this car is not to be luxurious or to be comfortable. The point of this car is to be fun on the track, fun on a daily basis, so you can actually daily this car without any issues. To be simple, without too much electronics, without too much going on. So yeah, that's what it is. As I mentioned, I think also last time, the Recaro seats, pretty comfortable, pretty supportive, I would say. Not that brutally supportive or actually limiting your body movement as in the Recaro pole positions, but for a hybrid kind of usage, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I can't complain. So let's actually start the car. Well, as I told you, just remove my phone. As I told you, we have the menu, the Renault Sport menu. This is my phone, and you can see basically a couple of very useful information: boost level, throttle, torque, and power. On a second menu, you can see power in horsepower, actually measured in horsepower, brake pressure, oil temperature, pretty important, and intake temperature, pretty important as well. I would probably prioritize the oil and the intake temperature as the most important. Brake pressure, I mean, if you have good brakes, you don't have any leakages, you basically don't need to look at it. Power, you don't really care about on the track. Torque, throttle, boost, none of those matters. Probably boost, but since this car is mapped, it doesn't really matter anyway. It's anyway showing way above the the end of the graph. What else? You have a lap timer, of course, aka racing car. You have the lap timer. You can monitor and record your laps. It's pretty simple to manage. You have 0 to 100 stopwatch and a 0 to 400 meters timer. Of course, you get a suggestion about the optimal gear you're supposed to be. Well, to be honest, the 0 from 100, I kind of never tried a couple of times without putting any effort on how fast I'm gonna be. This car is not about 0 to 100 kilometers per hour times. It's a front wheel drive. Although it has the limited slip diff, this is not the idea of the car. So we're gonna skip that. That's a cool one. That's the G meter. As you can see, it reacts to even the smallest movements of the car. I could generate once, if I recall correctly, I could generate 1.2 G lateral in a corner. So it was a right corner, so the left part of the graph was filling up. It felt pretty cool, pretty decent. Considering my tires are almost finished, they're like gone. So I guess with some decent tires, you can get even higher G. What else? Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is the sport mode. So if I press the button once, I go to sport mode. So the ESP is in sport mode as well, which means the RPM are rising a little bit, as you can hear. And I already have all the options regarding as for the gas pedal. So I can move them with a small wheel in the back. I can move them from extreme to sport, down to linear, progressive, and snow. To be honest, I either use the sport mode, I either just keep it pressed and just have everything off. So I've kind of never played with those options. You can also set the changing the gear shift changing color time, so you can actually set it to like 7,000, so you basically can have the car switch at the end of the red light. You can also keep it lower if you want to keep your engine safer, of course. This is a turbo car, so having a high RPM range doesn't really make any sense. The strongest pull from this car is anywhere between 2,750, so 2,750, call it 3,000, where you could literally feel the boost coming up, and all the way to probably 5.5, 5.6, I would say. Afterwards, you're just squeezing the RPM of the engine, which doesn't really make any sense. That's that, and then we're going back to the kind of the main menu. So yeah, that's what it's all about. What I like about this steering wheel, it's the fact that it's pretty nicely shaped. It has this small thumbs area that you can actually use for gripping in, let's say, high-speed corners or similar. It's pretty comfortable, feels pretty nice. Of course, I wrapped it in Alcantara, so it gives it a bit more of a sporty look. Gear changes, pretty short and pretty stable. There is no like loose feeling in the gear knob itself. I did place a short shifter just to give that extra crisp, that extra fast change of gears. Handbrake, well, not really used in this kind of cars, I guess. I don't really do handbrake turns. I'm not in high school anymore, so I don't really care impressing girls or whatsoever. In the back, I call it the horse stable, so there's not much happening. Just my helmet and then the cargo net and then the strut bar that gives a little bit of an extra rigidity. I haven't measured it, I don't know if it's actually true, but it could be just a placebo effect, but it does feel a little bit more rigid in the back. But yeah, so let's go for a ride. What I was supposed to mention from last time was the fact that this car is not stock. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that this car is tuned up to what car guys on the internet call stage 2. So it has, oh, let's see if I don't miss anything important. It has a full exhaust from the turbo. The downpipe is 3-inch. It's supplied by CGR in the UK. I will put a link in the description, so you can guys check their website. The quality is pretty amazing. It's a titanium material of the pipe, so it's quite decent quality. So I have a downpipe, and afterwards all the way to the back I have a Miltech exhaust system, non-resonated, no catalyzers, they're all gone. So as you can probably already hear, it sounds pretty crispy, so let's hear it. Well, as I said, full exhaust. And what else? We have stage 2 Wagner intercooler. It's a pretty important upgrade if you're considering tracking this car, because temperature gets quite high. so it's really convenient, and it's really recommended if you actually buy a bigger, nice intercooler. The stock one is pretty small. It can handle the job, but once you start pushing and pushing and pushing, things start to get quite hot here. What else? We have the short shifter, as I said. We have a sport filter from BMC. I did not place the ITG, the induction kit, because I don't like it, and the open cones type of filters collect a lot of dust, so and grime and humidity, so I don't want none of that stuff in my turbo pipes. So yeah, I just stuck to the OEM air box, just change the filter, it's enough. I also have Forge Motorsport, a blow-off valve, as you can probably hear. I have also a Forge Motorsport turbo inlet pipe. It's basically a bigger diameter, and it's from a very strong and reinforced silicone, so it's quite a nice touch detail. It just helps that build up pressure, that build up air actually, to enter in a very undisturbed linear flow in a way into the turbo, so you get that massive nice kick out of it. What else? I have front brake discs, are the original OEM Brembo slotted ones, pretty good, pretty decent. Brembo are supplying with those kind of brake discs many hot hatches across the range. As for brake pads, I went for Ferrodo DS1 in the front and DS 2500 in the back. The DS1 in the front, why the DS1? Because they're pretty aggressive. They leave very little brake dust. They have a very good initial bite, combined with a kind of a stiff pedal already from the factory. It gives a very nice brake pedal feeling once under pressure on the track mostly. As for the regular road, it's good enough anyway. But the biggest selling point, the strongest point of the DS1 is that they're very good at cold temperature, decent at average temperature, and very good again at high temperature. So if you can translate that into track usage, it's actually pretty cool, because you get brakes, very decent brakes in the first laps, even when the tires are still cold, and you also get a very strong brakes once you warm up the whole car, let's say lap 5, lap 6, lap 10. So the brake pads are pretty amazing. They're pricey, but they're pretty good quality for the money. What else? We have, as I said, I think also last time, ultra high performance, or as they call to it, semi-slick, not really a semi-slick, Nankang NS2R tire. We have the Alltech Wizard 18-inch wheels. They're pretty light. They're similar weight category as the OZ Ultra Leggera, but they're just half the price, of course, because the OZ are Italian, so they're all completely overpriced. They're of course amazing and very light, but these are actually similar kilograms. I think for an 18-inch wheel, one wheel is like 8 kilos, which is pretty decent. I think 8 or 8.3, could be mistaken, I'm not sure. And I think the OZ Ultra Leggera is similar weight category, so unsprung mass weight, it's pretty decent. What else? I have obviously a stock turbo and a remap, a software remap done by one of the best, if not the best, Renault guy in Europe. He's called Decker Motorsport. I'll put a link in the description. He managed to map my car with the modes that I've just described. He managed to map it to 311 horsepower and 480 Newton meters of torque. I think 478 or something like that, so I just rounded up to 480. It's a pretty nice linear power. I requested to have a linear power. I don't have, and I don't like the big kick of boost. Is just not for me. It's kind of too much, so I prefer the kind of linear power, as you can feel it now. So you get all this power surge up to 5.5 RPM as of, I guess you can call it 3000. So this was my idea, to have always the most linear power band. It's the best for the engine, the best for the gearbox. You don't need any crazy boost peaks. It just doesn't make any sense in this car. This is not a Supra, this is not a Skyline, it's not a Evo, so this is not what you're looking after. I guess that's it for now, guys. Let me know if you need to know something else about the car. Leave a like, click the subscribe button. You just motivate me even more, making cooler videos. Try to get creative about the material, about the car in particular. And stay safe. Bye.